I'm willing to bet that even if every single character of every single game was female, Anita Sarkeesian and Feminist Frequency would still find a way to complain about them. Don't you think it's pretty hilarious whenever they say a white straight male is out of line when designing certain types of characters? Yet here we have a white straight female, I think she's straight anyway, complaining about a character of color, how they look and how the design is racist and problematic. Where does this woman and her minions get off telling people how things can and can't be? A woman that has been caught multiple times lying and scamming people wants to tell developers how they're offending people, creating these invisible enemies. These people that she claims to be offended are not real. She is creating invisible enemies, problems out of nowhere. There's a couple things to go over here and even an old article to reference just because I thought it'd be funny to read a specific part. But firstly, we've got Anita complaining about a new game called Rocket Arena. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know much about this game. I did watch the EA play, but I didn't take too much interest in it. But that aside, Anita is complaining about the female characters being slim, being sexualized and featuring the same body type. I'll read the tweet to you. I want to talk about Rocket Arena real quick. It's a major disappointment that its character design is falling into similar traps that Overwatch's original roster did. All the female characters have the same sexualized body type. She just never stops, does she? She never stops. Now before we move on to the next tweet, which is even more ridiculous, I just want to show you this. And I took this screenshot from the Actman's video on YouTube because I thought it was really interesting. First and foremost, a lot of the Anita Sarkeesians of the world, a lot of those types of people will tell you that the majority of gamers are female and that the balance has sort of shifted towards females, which may or may not be true. What they don't tell you is what genre of games they're playing. If you look at the top of this chart, look at the top two. What do they say? Match 3 and Family/Farm Simulator. Now if you look right near the bottom, you have FPS and tactical shooters. Rocket Arena seems to be a third-person shooter, and whilst that isn't listed here on this graph, it's safe to assume that's going to float around the same sort of area. So if the general player base is male, why would they not make characters that appeal to males? Is that not the demographic they're designing the games for? Now let's get rid of that argument. Let's put that argument aside. Outside of your cries for relevancy, when the hell do you ever hear women moaning about slender looking females in video games? Literally outside of the echo chambers that Anita creates, where do you ever see this problem? I'm literally dumbfounded. Obviously she's creating a problem where there isn't any, but okay, that regurgitated nonsense argument aside, Anita then tweeted this. But worst of all, one of those characters has an extremely racist, culturally appropriative design. It's using tired old stereotypes of vaguely magical and vaguely tribal with the use of face paint and the arrowhead weapon. There is no excuse for this. I mean, it's just like, what do you even say to this garbage? Extremely racist to whom exactly? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about all people of color? I'm confused. Are you putting us all in one boiling pot? Doesn't that seem a little bit more racist than what you're suggesting here? There's nothing racist about this image. There's nothing racist about this character. Now for reference, part of my family is black, as many of you know. And for example, they live in a part of Africa where there are a lot of, like, I guess you could say, tribes that are very stereotypical, as Anita would like to put it, and they dress in a stereotypical way, as Anita would like to put it. So are you trying to tell me that my people and the people near them in these tribes are stereotyping themselves? Are they offending themselves? Honestly, like, I don't get this. Her logic is in the toilet. It's actually unreal. How did you take this image of this character and get offended by it? And who are you getting offended for? Who are you speaking for? I ain't seen one person of color complain about this character, and I actually went looking for it. I couldn't find any, nor have I seen a single woman complain about any of the female characters in this new game at all. I haven't seen any complaints apart from the echo chambers that you create online. You create problems where there ain't any. Why do you always need to create invisible enemies? Actually, I know why. Because that's how you pay the rent. Nothing is genuine at all. No genuine critique of games has ever come out of this woman's mouth. Obviously, because she's not actually a gamer and she doesn't actually care about the wants and the needs of the masses. She only cares about lining her pockets. And as I'm scrolling through Twitter, I come across this post from Feminist Frequency. Every year for the past 5 years, we've collected data from games featured at E3 to provide a statistical breakdown of gender. We think of this as a mini State of the Union. With the cancellation of E3, we're reassessing the best way to continue with this tradition, #PS5 reveal. They literally sit there counting how many people are going to appear on screen and if they're male or female. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Does anyone realize that they are actually not that different from one angry gamer? Another person that doesn't care about context at all. They only want to see a certain type of person represented on screen. And of course, they did it for the PS5 reveal as well, because why wouldn't they? They'd still find something to complain about with this reveal, even though the PS5 reveal featured more women and people of color than I've seen in a while. They're still gonna find something to moan about. And of course, you have people like this commenting in your echo chambers. Personally, I feel like the presenters' numbers are the most damning. Like, clearly we still need to improve in terms of what kinds of characters we tell stories about, but the lack of female presenters points to a broader problem of women not getting to tell those stories. But luckily, someone with intelligence replied just below to shed some light on why this post and this talking point is incredibly stupid. Who goes out on stage to present is not representative of how many females work on said studio which presented a game. Most of the people who went up were the studio leads and top people from PlayStation. And that's basically it. Anita and Feminist Frequency pull at straws. If it's not representation in video games, it's who's presenting the game to you. It's one thing after another, and it's because Anita and her organization need enemies to thrive. They need to have someone to badmouth or they make no money. This is why it's clear as day that Anita does not care about the industry. She doesn't care about you women. She doesn't care about your representation. She only cares about lining her pockets. I don't know how much more clear it has to be. And when they post things like this, it'd make anyone think there's a problem until you remember the graph I showed you from before and you realize that it is men that play these games, and so they're gonna pander to their demographic. Now, do I like playing as females? Of course. Lara Croft, Jill Valentine, Clementine, Bayonetta. I made a whole video with a gigantic list of female characters that are represented in video games and other forms of media that people love, that I love personally. But obviously men will dominate specific genres seen as they are the ones that densely populate them. Why do I need to explain that to this woman? And then there's this article. Female representation in video games isn't getting any better. The number of female protagonists in games showcased at E3 has remained low for years. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole article, which was written back in 2019, because it's really just crappy writing all around. That much is evident because it comes from Anita, but there's one bit in particular I found funny, and again it's pulling at straws, and it's because Anita and her cronies will literally complain about absolutely anything. Most of the article references representation in video games, but towards the end you get this rubbish. Finally, a note on combat and violence in games. During Ubisoft's presentation, a trailer for their upcoming game Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint featured actor John Berthnall. If you guys don't know, I think he's the guy in The Punisher, uttered the line, "The only test of a man's worth is battle," unwittingly distilling what seems to be a widespread perception among both players and game designers. This year, of the 126 games we surveyed, 107 featured combat of some form as a gameplay mechanic, while only 19 games, or about 15%, did not. Of course, not all combat is the same. The endearing sword swinging of Link in Nintendo's adorable upcoming remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is a far cry from the grisly demon slaying of Doom. However, we believe that there remains a vast majority of unexplored potential for games as a medium, and continue to advocate for a greater percentage of games that explore the possibilities of non-violent gameplay mechanics. Anita, here is a bright idea for you. Take all of the money you've scammed people from over the years and be the change that you want to see. Hire an all-female cast of designers and writers. Pay them well, edify them. Have only females show off your game at conferences. Do all of that, and if your game's good, I'll play it. I don't care that it only features women. 100% I will play it on this channel, I will give it a fair review. But please, be the change that you want to see in the world. I challenge you, take the money you've accumulated over the years of pretending to be a gamer and make the games you so desperately think everyone wants. Honestly, some of these numbers, it's just like, I can't believe they sat there and broke down how many females to males were in the game. It's like looking at one angry gamer but in its female form. They're the same person. It's all smoke and mirrors as far as I'm concerned. It is never ending. Her smoke and mirrors game is never ending. She is never going to be happy. It doesn't matter if the PS6 reveal has 20 women and 5 men. It doesn't even matter if it's even. It doesn't matter if there's a bunch of games that come out that only feature women. Anita Sarkeesian will never be happy, and for all of you out there that think that she's flying the woke banner of truth around to protect you or fight for your rights in video games, she's not. She's lining her pockets. She spends most of her time complaining on Twitter about non-issues. She is what you would refer to as a social piranha. That is what she is. And like I said, it just keeps going with her. It never stops. I've made like 3 or 4 videos on her. I still think to some extent that she got her hands on The Last of Us or influenced those guys in some way, shape or form. Although the wokeness in that game it's not really the problem. So if she did influence it, nothing really happened there. That game's story is the problem in itself. But I don't know, man. It's like Feminist Frequency's Twitter page is honestly one of the most bizarre things to read through. There's so many non-issues that they just like to point at. With regards to that character that they're talking about, where she's saying it's racist and inappropriate, like, who are you talking about, woman? Who are you talking about? Like, please, like, just, like, come on, just think before you tweet. Please think before you tweet. Guys, thanks for watching. I will catch you all again real soon. This woman's just doing my head in. I'm gonna go play some Yakuza. Take good care of yourselves and peace.